Okay, cool. I think everything's going.
Yeah, it looks like it.
We are now recording a podcast. Cool. I appreciate you doing this, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Super cool of you. So I'm going to be constantly checking the cameras because, again, they reset every 20 minutes. So if I do this while you're talking, it is because I am looking at the camera. And, yeah. Cool. Would you like to introduce yourself to my followers?
Sorry?
Would you like to introduce yourself to my followers?
Oh, sure. Which camera? This one? This one?
That one right there.
Yeah, my name is Jose Vega. I'm a concept artist, working as a senior concept artist for Wizards of the Coast, and I'm on other stuff that I normally do. I also teach, and I've been in the industry for about 10 years.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, so I met you through Katie Silva, who introduced us, again, I guess for the Proco stuff.
Yeah.
To, start doing that. And then, I guess the reason I want to talk to you specifically is, like I was telling you on the way down here, the point of this podcast is not to talk about the, how of doing things or the, act of, how do you get a job, should you go to art school or anatomy and that kind of stuff. It's the why of doing it, It's art is something that's really difficult. You said working 80 hours a week, doing all this stuff. And it's trying to find the purpose of the struggle of it. Do you want to light this, by the way?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. There you go. Cool. Nice.
Not so small.
Toasty. I mean,
it's super cold here.
85 degrees outside or something. Yeah. If it gets too hot, let me know.
That's all good. Is this gonna be okay here?
Yeah.
All right.
As far as I know, it's totally fine. Yeah. So I guess I'm curious about the why of it for you.
It's a very long. I mean, it's not really a very long answer, but I think for me it has sort of evolved through time. It all started because I've always been I have a very competitive, very addictive way to do things.
Yeah.
And so I was always being very stubborn. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to compete and all that stuff. And it sort of started that way. Yes, of course, I always had that love for video games and anime and all that stuff. But I never had that for actual art.
Yeah.
I was never an artist for when I was a little kid. I never drew when I was a little kid.
Right.
It's also just because I wanted to try and do it,
Yeah.
But recently it's been mostly just because, I have certain goals that I want to achieve now that I'm in the industry.
Yeah.
And they have sort of evolved, through that. But also, I just want to be the best that I can be currently, right? So, now I'm an artist, and I'll probably be till the day I die. But I always want to be the best artist that I can be, not because I want to beat people, but just because that's just
see how far you can go.
Yeah. And my family deserves that. I deserve that, and I think that the gifts that we get, we should exploit them as best as we can, throughout the time that we're here.
Well, I remember talking to you a while ago, and I remember you saying you kind of got into art later in life, right? 26 or 27.
Yeah.
You started taking it really seriously.
Yeah.
I meet people all the time who are, maybe late 20s, early 30s, or even in their 40s and 50s. They're like, is it too late for me to start?
Right.
And I really think the answer is I can't be the person to tell you. You have to decide that for yourself.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person that's willing to put in all the work that you've been willing to put in order to get to where you're at?
Yeah. But also it's also to the answer to a lot of questions that are like that is also, what's the alternative? Yeah. You're 40. Yeah, you're gonna spend the next 40 years doing something that you don't like just because you think you're late. I'd rather spend my last day doing something that I love,
right?
Even if I didn't spend it, all that time back,
Well, I think there's a deeply spiritual element to all that kind of stuff, because you have to like be okay with people that are much younger than you that have like gone farther, right, or better, right? And it's like, for me, I mean, it's been strange going around. It's just meeting so many artists. I'll meet these 20-year-old kids who are just amazing, better than I'll ever be in my entire life, and be able to, and still pursuing that stuff, pursuing art in spite of seeing that person is better than me. Again, it's the age thing is always strange to me.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't think I never let that bother me, just because I try to understand like everybody's journey is just different. Yeah. And there's some complications of being that good early on, that people just don't get. And the same way there are complications of starting later in life, It's like when you start investing or earning money and investing it too late, you're not gonna have the same results you start too early, or very early. So I think it has its pros and cons, whether you start super early or if you're that good early, or if you get better later. Yeah, well,
I think a lot of people might look at the surface level like, oh, that person is. They only see the images. They don't They don't see anything else that's going on in the person's life. And I don't know. I think everyone is on their own journey, and I think the problem that I run into, the way that I can be the worst person that I can be is when I start comparing myself to other people. I'm like robbing the world of my potential, and I'm hurting myself because I'm like, oh, I suck. I start, and that might infect other people around me to kind of start feeling the same way.
Well, I'll play the devil's advocate in that, like, I always compare myself in terms of skill level. Yeah. Because but in a healthy way. Yeah. Because there is a complication when you start comparing, especially in social media. Like, a lot of people are used to seeing other people's lives in social media, where I think most people are just pretending, but they're comparing and they're thinking, oh, they're doing better than me or anything like that, that's very unhealthy. But I think, and I truly believe, because this helped me personally, comparing yourself, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are gonna say that there's no competition in this industry, which I think there is competition. It's very competitive. And I think you should compare yourself in a healthy way to other artists, because that's what's going to get you sort of the data that you need to either reach to where they're at, or just be slightly better than them, so you can actually get the job. So I think there is a healthy way to compare yourself to others, but I do believe that most people don't do it in a healthy way. Yeah,
well, I think that there is a base level of competence you need to have. Yeah, right? You need to deliver on the goods, right? And I think that's part of the problem that people run into, is they focus way more. They try to get there too soon, right? It's like they give themselves 2 years to become a professional, and then that's it. Right. It's like, oh, I have 2 years. My parents gave me 2 years to go to art school, and I have to, or I'm in art center for 2 years, and I'm gonna get $100,000 in debt, and I need to get there, right?
So I get the chills.
The anxiety. It's like the existential crisis. Yeah. But people fucking do that. Man. Yeah. And it's like, I think that's a recipe for feeling that way. That's a recipe for the negative comparison. Right. It's like, if you are truly desperate, you're way more likely to do things that aren't ethical in order to put food on the table or feed your family. Whereas if you can sacrifice and postpone that success a couple of years or 5 years or whatever, you might be able to do it in a way that is way more sustainable for you and the people around you.
Right. Yeah. I think it's also a whole society thing, because I think there's the stigma you have to be set by 25. Yeah. And it's like it doesn't, I don't think I was even starting seriously in art when I was 25. Yeah. And it's like, even if you're 30, you're not even halfway your life. You're barely starting, it's just 30 years, not really that long. Right. It's just the stigma of being old.
I think you don't even start your life until you're 18, in terms of 18 is the second you start having your own thoughts. Obviously it starts younger for some people, but I was a dumb 18-year-old.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too.
I was a dumb idiot. I still am dumb. But it's less dumb than I am now. I don't know. I think it's all this stuff is no one who is a professional cares about how old you are. They don't care about where you went to college. Right. They just want to feed their families and live their lives and live happily. And I found that in places that are like the more sought after places to work, they're generally very positive work environments because everyone there is like, they did all the right steps to get there.
Yeah.
They worked, they were patient, they, paid their dues, and they're also not tying their entire identity to the job.
Right.
It's like if they get fired, they still have something outside of it that they can feel good about.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a lot. It's just like, especially like, I think artists, like they're so attached to like their art.
Yeah.
Like if they don't have that, it's just like, they lose that identity.
I can totally see why.
If it's tied to like a job or anything like that.
Yeah, or if you grew up as the best kid in your drawing class, of course that's going to be part of your identity.
Yeah.
Like something that happens to a lot of people. It happened to me to a degree, but I was like the best kid or a really good kid in my high school, and then I went to art school, and I was like, holy shit, I'm absolutely horrible,
Yeah.
And you start to like get an idea for what real skill is, And I'd imagine that actually just keeps happening. It's like every time you get a new job, you're like, oh man, I'm a complete fraud.
Yeah, that happened to me when I got to Wizards this year. Like, I'm seeing the work of people that I just look up to for so many years. It's like, why the hell are they hiring me? Like, I mean, I know, but like at the same time, like, I don't know, like I got that, imposter syndrome thing for like a while, and I was like, and I battled for that for a while, man. We have this like every other month we have this like huge like big intensive like concept pushes where we just do concepts like all day for like 3 weeks, and it's just like very intense. And every time there's one, it's like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this because it's like there's so many people that they invite from outside that are like like all these big names in the magic community that are just like
amazing,
super good. And it's like I'm gonna I need to, but at the same time it's like I'm also not competing, but we're also in the same team, so we gotta deliver whatever it is that we gotta do for that. So well, and again, it's like your ego has no place there. Like no, for sure.
If you feel insecure, it's like that can't exist.
Yeah, you don't have that luxury.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. I feel like doing these kind of van trips have made me a lot more spiritual of a person. Like the thing I tell people is like this trip has affirmed my belief that a God exists.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what I mean when I say that, but it's like I know I can go around the world, and I see like an underlying ethic where it's like there are environments where it's like you can't have an ego, you can't feel bad about yourself, otherwise you're gonna fail. And it's like I can go anywhere in the world and experience kind people treating me well if I go out and treat them well, and I don't know, I think it's the thing I was talking to Katie and Patrick about yesterday was it doesn't matter what you do. Like you could be somebody who makes like ceramic fireplaces, or works as a barista at Starbucks, or cleans toilets, or makes art, or whatever, banker. It matters like if you do it well and non-resentfully. If you invite people in, you treat people well, you take it seriously and do it do it excellently. That's going to work out way better for you than trying to like find the most efficient path to making the most money. Right.
Yeah, I think I was talking about that with like I go to a place to get stretched sometime because of my back and some inches and stuff, and I was talking to a lady that stretches me, and we're talking about Christmas or something, and I'm like, and I'm from Puerto Rico, and back home, and we sort of, and I was telling her how like I miss that a lot, where you can go to somebody's house and just knock on the door and they just invite you in, and you're just you're just people, and you have some coffee or some bread, and it's just like a really fellowship type of time. But these days it's like
can't do it.
You just can't. Like I can go to my next door neighbor and just knock and
hang out,
and let's say let's have some coffee, and like you can, but it's just weird these times.
Well, and physically you're like less than 10 feet away from them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I find that that's a common thing that a lot of people talk about is their neighbors. Like people aren't friends with their neighbors as much,
right?
At least in this country.
Yeah, back home that was like I come from a very small neighborhood, and like we all knew each other on a mile one radius. Like we knew exactly who lived where, and like who always, whether we liked it or not, like we just knew who we were and we'll hang out, or But I don't know, it's just different.
Well, I think it's like to me, it seems like the most important thing is like friends and family.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter what you have physically. It matters like the people that you spend time around.
Yeah.
You know? And again, trying to find that balance between career and family is always a difficult thing to try and do. It's like, do you focus on the community and like building a group of people that you can trust, or do you focus on building your career? It's like the right answer is I have no idea. It's like somewhere in between, you know, depending on who you are.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna vary per person. Like, you know, a lot of people they just like being around a lot of people all the time, and like they don't really care how far they go in their career. They just want to be around people and, you know, spend the whole weekends at the beach sitting with, you know, 10 other people. And that's how they get, you know,
validation.
But, you know, I think it's if like all my family's back home, so I rarely spend time with, like, all I have is, you know, my wife and my 2 dogs. So I just gotta balance that out with my work and
coworkers and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, with coworkers, it's kind of hard now because, you know, I'm working remotely, and like I actually haven't met them yet. So it's just weird.
Well, do you want to talk about that at all? Like, I mean, you're from Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess as an immigrant and as somebody who's in a place like you're, you know, if you don't have your family around you, you know, it's like how do you feel about that? Like, how do you deal with it?
I mean, it's actually just fine. It's actually harder for my wife because like I left when I was 17 from Puerto Rico. I went to the States and I spent I think it was like almost 10 years in the States, like Florida and California and all that. And then I had to go back just because of life stuff. And I was pretty much homeless back then. So I went back home because my family invited me to, you know, go back home and live back there again. And I think a couple of years after that's when I started doing the whole art thing. But when I started doing the art thing, I knew I didn't want to live in Puerto Rico anymore, just because there's no industry there, and that was like my main focus, and it's been my focus since I started. And so I always wanted to come back to the States because I just knew that's where I was gonna have like the most opportunities. But it was just like a one of those very early decisions that I made that I knew I had to sacrifice, you know, spend time with my family. And like I come from a really tight family. Like we'll spend time every single night. Like we'll drink coffee, break bread, and, you know, all that stuff. And it was like one of those things where I knew, like, you know, if I wanted this, I need to sacrifice this and that. And, you know, I made my peace with that, you know, a long time ago. And I don't intend to go back or anything like that, just because Puerto Rico is a mess right now. But, you know, I miss my family, but it's something that I just had to do, you know. And now that I'm married, it's like my core family now is my wife. Outside of that circle, then it's my other family. So I need to, you know, take care of that first, and then after that, it's just, you know, rest.
Well, and I think it's I've been reading a lot about like the hero's journey and stuff. You know, like people have to go on a quest in their life, and they like have to move away from their family. They have to move away from like physical comfort. You know, and the thing I've been telling people is like I would be in an apartment physically comfortable, and I would be thinking about what it would be like to be living in a van. You know, doing this kind of stuff, being uncomfortable, and like again, not having running water, not having a toilet, like, and I felt like started to get depressed because I was like, this is something I really need to do. I can't help but do it. And part of me wishes I had the ability to just like not want that stuff, you know, to just like be comfortable with, you know, a simple life, you know, comfortable with just like family, friends, go out to dinner occasionally, you know, and work at a post office or something.
Right. I actually sometimes envy I sometimes envy that because I like, you know, I think the majority of people is like that, where they're just comfortable with just you know, whatever get them by, and, you know, they do other stuff, like they spend their afternoons and night times doing stuff with their family, and on the weekends they go to the beach for like a whole weekend thing, and they don't do anything else. Then Monday to Friday just go to work, and they seem to be happy. But it's like, I think that's like the other side of like somebody that is always constantly to move forward and like getting, you know, new things and better, and, you know, trying to improve and all this stuff, just because there's always this the next thing and the next thing. Once you get that, then it's the next thing.
Absolutely.
You know? And it's a constant, and I think that's like the bad side, not bad side, but that's like the other side of the coin that
like the dark
I don't
side.
think I don't think people get, you know, unless you're in there.
Well, I think it's one of those things, like working in big things is really tempting. It's really enticing. It's like you get to do these crazy projects, you get to, you know, get really good, you get to meet all these people, But then I think there is a sacrifice. Again, it's the amount you have to work.
Yeah.
And the quality of it has to be really high. So you have to be really, really focused.
Yeah.
So you might just inevitably, by doing really good art, you can't focus on. I mean, obviously you exercise, but maybe it's like exercise is something that you might give up, or
right.
With your wife or dogs or whatever, family. And I guess the thing that I've noticed for myself is that like there are things like I would like to do professional art at some point in some way, but there are things in my life that I actually are completely unwilling to give up.
Right.
It's like autonomy for my life. I don't want somebody to tell me I can't take a vacation.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just like live freely, at least at this stage.
Right.
And I also want to work like 40 hours a week. I don't want to work a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And realizing that there are things that I care way more about this like thing that I saw as an ideal. It's like, okay, that's something to pay attention to. It's like I'm willing to like not go as far in my career in order to just
right.
have more spiritual fulfillment.
Right. Yeah. I think it's also like it's not really linear, and it's also like in stages. Like I know for a fact I won't be working as crazy as I am right now. I don't know, maybe in like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
So like, there's stages in my life where like, for example, like when I started this whole art thing 10 years ago, like I had certain goals that I wanted to get. And that was like my main focus. Like I wanted to get certain things, and once I get those, and that became sort of like recently, like now I can concentrate, and I sort of risk my health doing all that. Like I wasn't eating right, and I wasn't going as much to the gym and all that. I was always a little bit active, but I knew that once I reached those goals, then I would switch my focus and concentrate on trying to get more healthy. So that's what I'm doing, sort of now, and that's gonna change once I reach those goals. And so I think it's in stages as well.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's no perfect situation.
Yeah.
It's like you can never be like perfectly work-life balance, and career and family. It's like you just don't have enough brain power to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of it is like just not being so mean to yourself all the time. It's like not being judgmental. It's like I'm not a fucking loser. It's like you're able to like do stuff and do cool stuff, and people would like agree with you that you're a good artist. But some people like. A lot of people would agree that you're a good artist, but there's something in our own brains that's like, oh, I'm a fraud. I'm
right. Yeah, self-doubt.
Yeah. And I guess the thing I'm trying to do as best as I can is like get rid of that to the degree I'm able. Like this van thing is so important to me because it's like, I have bouts of feeling like a complete loser because I'm homeless essentially. I'm sleeping in parking lots, and I have friends that are making way more money than me. And it's like. It's hard not to compare yourself in that way.
Yeah.
And knowing that I've chosen this path is like, okay, I can't, this is something I've actively chosen, so I'm unable to, like, I'm unable to feel as bad about it.
Yeah, which is, man, I just think people listen to other people, care too much about what other people think too.
Yeah.
So you have your own journey to go through, and like there's a saying back home, it's like if you translate it to English, it would be like the only person that knows what's in the pot is the one stirring it.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta do you. And
yeah. I mean, it's again, I think it's always ridiculous to compare yourself to other people. But again, there's a healthy way of doing it, and trying to find that balance is incredibly tough.
Yeah.
I think part of it for me is just realizing that the thing that we're all doing is like, it's like, if you're working Wizards of the Coast, you're making cards, you're making card art that's going to be, it just put on a playing card. It's not that serious, it's not like curing cancer or something. Or, or if you like are working on animation, the animation that you're working on is going to be seen for like 5 seconds or something, And I'm not trying to diminish. But it's like, there is like it's just for fun essentially, like it's no one's gonna die if it doesn't get put out.
So what do you mean exactly?
Like I guess it's people treat like because we figured out hunger and food and thirst. And,
Right.
Like if you break your leg in the 1700s, you might just be killed because you can't.
Right.
We figured out all those physical problems, but we replaced those problems emotionally and psychologically with career problems. You know? It's like people might feel as stressed out about their degree or their job or, you know, a deadline. They actually might be more stressed about that than if they were to, like, you know, break their arm in the middle of the woods, at least equivalently. You know,
Right.
Like that failure for them might be as big of a deal as being a life-threatening situation.
Right. When it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Like no matter what, we're, you know, if you know, if everything, you know, suddenly people realize you're a fraud or something, you know, it's like you're not going to die. It's like you're going to be able to feed yourself, and you might have to give up some certain things, but you're going to survive. You know.
Right.
And obviously it'd be a bummer, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comes with the whole thing of putting your identity in your work, which is like, I think that's like super normal right now.
Yeah.
Like most everybody does it.
Yeah.
I told my wife, like, even like if for some crazy reason like I get fired from all my jobs and like nobody wants to give me like another job or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I still think like I won't be like, it's gonna suck, but I don't think I will be as depressed as not to do anything. Like I'll probably put some food truck or something like that.
Yeah. So you have to start doing stuff. Yeah. You always have something to do.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like the right thing to do if you get fired is not to like sit around on your couch and mope. It's like to go and like go for a fucking hike. You know, go like explore the world because there's so many things to do.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like I would be in the Grand Canyon, right? I would be in Yosemite. I would be in Montana. I would be in New York City, and I would be like subjectively the most meaningful places in the world. Like the Grand Canyon is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And instead of like going out and enjoying the Grand Canyon, I'd be on my phone watching like fucking Hearthstone videos or something. You know, it's like, what am I doing? It's not the world's problem that I'm unable to like see how awesome it is. It's definitely a me problem.
Right.
And I think it's always the case. Like, whether you're in fucking the middle of Iowa or Los Angeles or wherever, it's like I meet people in Los Angeles who feel like there's nothing to do in LA. It's like, what? It's like,
how is that possible?
Yeah. Just go to Yosemite or something, or go to the Getty or something, you know. And I think whenever I'm getting sad, it's never a world problem. It's always a me problem.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, the more responsibility I could take for my own happiness, the more happy I'll be in general, I think.
Yeah, I think also people like, and I say this like, especially like on Twitter all the time, it's like, I think people pay too much attention to world problems that they can't even
influence
or solve or do anything about it, and it affects their life like so much where they're just depressed because of all the things that they don't have any control over.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, what are you doing to yourself? It's like, you need to stop listening to that stuff and just worry about what you can control and worry about that.
Yeah, it's like, again, I don't want to get into politics stuff, but talking about election stuff, or I guess COVID stuff, or like, again, I think that's all stuff that's important to talk about. But I think at the same time, you can't control who's president. Like, you're one vote among, 300 million people or something, you know. It's like, you actually might be able to do more good for society by just doing your job, doing what you're supposed to be, doing the things you enjoy doing, you know? Like, and that whole, like, fighting those battles actually might be more detrimental to you and everyone else around you, even though you might feel it's the ethical thing to do. Because, like, if you started fighting those battles, then you might not be able to focus as much on work, which like,
then you become depressed, and then everybody else around you gets that energy. And
and it's like, maybe you miss a deadline, and then maybe it's like the project that you work on is delayed, and then somebody who like the entire project suffers, so somebody loses their mortgage or something, you know. It's like and it's like all for like a Facebook post or something, you know, it's or whatever. And like, I don't know, it's like, I really do believe in trying to affect the things that you have direct control over.
You know? And I think the good thing is, like, there's so little things that you have control over I think that's great, because you can actually focus on those things.
Well, again, traveling this weird way is fucking strange. It's really fucking weird. Existentially, just meeting so many people. Like, I've been to like 40 cities or something in the past 5 months or something.
Nice.
it's like I've seen millions of people, and seeing them all just go, but it's hard to feel important
Right.
walking past that many people, you know. And I think that there are two ways you can look at that. It's like, I'm a loser. There's, you know, I'm mad. I don't matter at all. There's nothing I could do. Or the other way of looking at that is like, oh, I don't matter. That's great. I could do whatever I want. It's like there's that guy that's like making furry porn, or
Right.
I could be completely validated in like just doing the thing that I like doing, you know. And it's like you have the ability to, like, again, it always goes back to the comparison thing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing because there's so many people, you know. You're the thing I've been thinking about is like, I don't know if I believe in free will. Like, the things that you think about, it's like there are infinite things you could be thinking about. Like, you could be a pharmacist just trying to cure COVID. You could be like a football player. You could be a ballerina. You could be a cheerleader. You know, you could be a politician. You could be literally anything. But for some reason, you're focusing on like the things that you're focusing on. Like, and you can't help but think about those things.
Right.
You know, and I think it's like that might be the universe telling you something. You know, it's like it's important for you to follow these paths because you could literally be thinking about anything.
Right.
The fact that you're thinking about something specific is like a miracle, you know?
Right.
And like maybe that's part of like who you are, you know, who you're meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's when it comes to the whole design thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also it's like you mentioned the whole feeling small. It's like, I think that's why I love so much like going to like hikes to like the mountains and stuff. It's like you're in a huge mountain, you just see this whole place and there's like so much going on, and it's like you're just a little thing that's just being part of it, you know. It's like the world doesn't really revolve around you, like you're actually just part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Well, and I think it's, I mean, when it comes to art, I think it's really easy to be kind of nihilistic. It's like, you can go to any museum in the world and find a master painting. It's better than anything any of us can either make, you know. And it's like, what do you do about that? There are millions and millions of masterwork paintings. And it's like, you can again like look at that as be like, oh, there's nothing I can contribute because everyone else has already said everything that can be said, or do you like just do it anyways? Do it because you like it.
Yeah.
And the answer is you just do it because you like it, and it's part of the reason why I really admire you and your artwork is because it's like it doesn't matter what, you know. Like, it's important to do it no matter what. It's important and meaningful to work 80 hours a week at it, even though it's like there are billions and billions of pieces of artwork out there.
Yeah.
You know? Like, your contribution is important and meaningful. You know?
Yeah. And what I get from it, it's important to me because it applies to, like, I want to provide for my family and get, you know, certain goals that for my family.
Yeah.
And so,
I think for anyone listening to this, I think it's like always important to not talk yourself into nihilism, like not talk yourself into the thing that you're doing not mattering.
Right.
Like,
I mean, you're not get started thinking that way on anything.
What?
Like, you would never start anything thinking that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's I mean, every single idea, like whether it's Apple or Star Wars or like any great thing that everyone knows about, starts out in like a garage. It starts out like conversations like this, you know. Then it just builds from there. It just, you know, one thing leads to another, and then another, and then another, and then eventually you have the like a cultural hit, you know, or something that's really important and really meaningful to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know? And I was talking to Katie and Patrick about this, where it's like, you know, Katie loves drawing anime boys, you know. That's her thing, and it's like she's been able to, like, you know, create beautiful pieces of artwork for Castlevania, which have, like, you know, a bunch of shows like Castlevania are being greenlit because you know, that people are realizing that's something that's like worth pursuing. You know, and it's like she's been able to, like, inadvertently, just by being herself, create jobs for people. You know, and create these stories. Just like, you know, she can't take complete credit for it, but she's contributed to the collective. You know?
Right.
You know, I was thinking, like, maybe even just being a person who just walks around and smiles to people on the street is living a meaningful life. You know, or, you know.
Yeah, you just never know what every action is going to take you, or what's going to bring to something that you might not even realize. Which is crazy.
The world is strange in that way. It's cool. I don't know, man. It's the world is strange, and I'm just trying to be less resentful and less cynical, because I definitely am susceptible to being kind of a nihilist sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we also, especially with stuff that is, I mean, we're living in a crazy time because of COVID thing and all this, which is easier to be that way. I think we gotta remind ourselves that, about that specific thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, well, I guess I feel like I've become a lot more spiritual in the sense where I'm a lot more receptible to religion.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand the reason behind it,
Mm-hmm.
the reason behind going to church or a mosque,
Right.
praying. I think it's like once you have those weekly or daily reminders of praying or going to church or something, it gives you a thing to constantly remind yourself or hold yourself against or keep yourself accountable to not be resentful, not feel like things are meaningless.
But I think you also put the importance of things that actually are important.
Yeah.
But I think we miss that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Marco Bucci about this, the other art education YouTube guy, and he was saying like he feels guilty when he sculpts now. He feels guilty when like he's doing other things other than his YouTube stuff, even like 2D traditional drawing and painting, because like I think it's because that sculpting, that 3D sculpting and clay sculpting it's not proven to be able to provide for his family. There's no direct like, oh, I did this thing and it went out into the world and it brought back food and water. And it's like once you have those associations of like, oh, this is something that can provide for me and my family, some hunter-gatherer thing turns on your brain where you actually become unable to value other things as much. You kind of get locked into who you are.
Yep. Yeah, I'm quite familiar with that.
Which is a good and bad thing, because it's like maybe you won't be able to like get really into skateboarding anymore, because it's
well, I mean, I used to skateboard before.
Okay.
And every time I see a skate park, I get like all excited. But it's like if I fall in one of those things now, it's like there's no turning back.
Yeah.
I'd rather not even.
That looks cool. Yeah, I'd write that. Well, but it's like maybe skateboarding is something that might detract from your ability.
Yeah.
It's like
actually, I'm trying to learn the flute.
Okay,
play
nice.
the flute, the native flute, and it's really hard for me to actually take time out of work to spend doing that. But I every time I do it, it's like I feel so good.
Yeah, super meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important to have things outside of what you do that aren't financially driven.
Yeah.
It's like playing the flute, or again. Like I spend a lot of time just like I play Hearthstone. I like Hearthstone a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like I get joy out of that. I think that's important. If I stopped doing that for whatever reason, I think that would be a sin. Or it'd be bad, I don't know. It's like it's awesome. And again, it always goes back to. Like, if you're thinking about something, it's probably important. No matter how mundane it might seem, like, you could be thinking about literally anything. And if you're thinking about something that you might see as, like, not important or not worth your time, it's, like, again, you're probably wrong, because, people can,
Well, I mean, I think as long as it doesn't take away from, like, your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like, if I play the flute all day and I don't do any work, I don't produce any money, then my family can eat. Then,
absolutely.
That's definitely not a good thing.
Well, I guess part of it is like, if somebody is struggling with it, like an addiction, whether it's candy or alcohol or porn or whatever, it's like if you have an impulse to do that, it's for a reason.
Right.
It's like it might not even be because you particularly like drugs or alcohol. It's like drugs and alcohol or candy or whatever might be just something in your brain to like
distracted from something else.
Yeah. And it's never about that. It's like it's important. I think it's important to think about why you think about things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't mind just leaving it.
Oh, it's fine.
To it. Okay.
We need the breeze.
Yeah. So I guess like the immigrant thing is something I'm curious about. It's like.
Well, we're not actually immigrants,
Yeah.
because we're still part of the U.S. It's just not like any other state thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like I don't need to go through, because we have a passport and Social Security and all that. But
Well, I guess it's. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more disadvantaged in Puerto Rico than it is being born in California, right?
Depends how you look at it, because I think, and this is something that I admire from actual immigrants. It's like they know where they're coming from, and so like when they get any chance of like opportunities, like they take advantage of it, it's like they do the work, because they know if they don't, they have to go back to whatever they came from, right? And it's not like Puerto Rico is like a third world country or anything, but it's definitely not. At least for our industry and for a lot of other things, and just quality of life is not as good as here. And so knowing that, it's just like when I got here, it's just I just took advantage of it because I just didn't want to go back in. I want to make sure that I take out every single advantage. And the way we got here is like it's crazy, because like I was probably 5 years into freelancing from back home, which is crazy. And I was like the first 2-3 years were like sort of part-time while, I acquired clients and stuff like that. And the last 2-3 years were like I was full-time freelance from Puerto Rico, which is crazy because like, first of all, there's no clients over there. Like all my clients were from either here or like Europe or whatever. And like I would try to go conventions and stuff like that. But we got hit by 2 major hurricanes, which destroyed the whole island. And like we didn't have water, food for like months. No gas. It was just crazy. And we got into this little plane, me and my wife, to get to the States, because I had that job offer from Powerhouse. And once I got here, it was like game time. Like I just became obsessed. Like I was already just working a lot, and I always were like, even before art, like I was always a hard worker, no matter what I was doing. But when I made the switch, like especially when I got here, like I just went crazy, and I just took every single chance that I got. Well, I guess that's the thing I'm trying to talk about, I guess, specifically, is like making it work in spite of coming, like, I meet people from Southern California who feel like they have been disadvantaged in some way, like people that come from wealthy families, and they can go to art school because their parents will pay for it, and it's like they feel like they're disadvantaged because like whatever reason, it's kind of arbitrary, and I think again, it always goes back to the idea of taking like responsibility for who you are, because like it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter like where you went to school or anything. It just matters like if you can actually put in the work and do the hours. Well, I mean that kind of people, I think they are more disadvantaged because like they have it easy. They don't have, I don't want to say they have it easy in life, because everybody goes through stuff, but like if they don't make it, they probably have money to live the rest of their lives. They don't have that need or that sense of urgency that I think a lot of immigrants have. Especially if you come from like I don't come from like a really poor family, but we weren't wealthy either. And I think also like there was one point in I think it happened like right after I got married. There was one point where I just didn't want money to be an issue, and like what ever since like, and you probably heard this, when you're like money doesn't give you everything or happiness, you can buy happiness or anything like that, but at the same time, I think money can fix 99% of the problems that you probably have. And it's like I don't want that to I didn't want money to be a reason. For example, like my mother's my wife's mother is in hospice right now, but she's been at home for like over 5-8 years. And like when we moved here, there were some times that my wife wanted to travel to Puerto Rico or buy something for her, and I had to say no, because we had a lot of debt, and like we just didn't have the money. And like that feeling, like for me to say no of something that I wanted to say yes, it was like, because of money, it was like like just like, ugh, like I just hated that, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go through that ever again.
Right. Yeah. Well, and again, I think it's there is that like money's not important kind of thing, you know, or you know, you don't have to necessarily work hard in order to be happy, but there's also like a reality where working hard and making money does make your life a lot easier, you know. And again, it's like there's a reason people do it. There's a reason that people will spend all this time just to like keep their family safe and feel secure. And I guess it's like yeah, I don't know. It's part of the thing I'm trying to identify by doing all this travel is like, why isn't everybody happy? Why are there problems in the world? You know, because I mean, I understand why, because people suffer, and you know, but I'm curious if people took more responsibility and, you know, worked as hard as you have, you know, would that make the world a much better place? And I'm pretty sure it would.
I'm pretty sure it would. However, I know for a fact that it you know, is not going to happen just because, you know, there's people, you know, it's like, do you see Squeaking?
I saw. I don't watch stuff like that because it will bum me out. It's like too violent. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I saw a synopsis of it, so I get
yeah, it's like in that game, like, you know, they're gonna go through some stuff, but like, it's easier if they don't play.
Yeah.
Just so everybody, you know, just so people don't die.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have people that are just gonna play just because they're desperate for their money.
Right.
You know, it's like it's just you can't. You know, people are so different. It's just you're just gonna have a lot of everything.
Yeah. People are strange.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it. I like that. I'd rather be that way than the alternative, you know?
Yeah, again, I think it's you know, the struggle is actually part of the meaning of life.
Yeah.
It's like without any struggle, like if you had $1 billion, you're telling me if you had $1 billion, you'd still work this hard.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You'd still work.
Oh, for a fact. Yeah.
And again, I think like no matter who we are, no matter how comfortable we are, it's like the struggle is part of the reason for living, you know? That's most of where the meaning comes from, I think.
Yeah. And I think also that's another reason why I like working so much, or like actually put myself in this position where I'm like super busy and like stressful, just because like I think I thrive when I'm in that position. Like if I'm too relaxed, like I just can't handle myself. Like I just like I can't do it. Like I don't see myself living or feel alive if I'm not busy. And it doesn't have to be work, but it's just like I have to do stuff, you know?
Right. Yeah, well, I think the external pressures are actually a really important part of being successful. It's like if you have deadlines and you have to have a certain level for that quality, it's going to force you to get out of bed in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the, you know, mornings where you're just watching YouTube become less common because you're just like, if you don't...
Wait, is that a thing?
What people just say, yeah, no one does that, right? Yeah, oh, I'm the only one. Yeah, just binge watching or playing games for 12 hours straight or something.
Oh no, dude, man, I can't really remember the time that I did that.
Yeah.
I still play games, but you know, I spend an hour, maybe a little more, and I'm already like freaking out because I gotta. You know, I gotta do.
Anxiety,
I gotta either deadlines or spend time with the family or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like it gives like. One, it gives the game time more value because it's more.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And it's like, you know, makes everything else more valuable because you need to like, you know, balance it out. You know, you can't be playing games all the time. And, it's like, I can't help but value living in the man. I can't help but trying to seek this kind of just uncomfortable way of living. You know, and for anyone listening, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I actually will definitely do something like that. Like there's this program called, what was it called? It's this farming program, and it's all around the world, and pretty much they have this
wolfing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I thought about doing that. Yeah.
Like I'm really like thinking about doing that like real soon.
Yeah. Friends have done it. Yeah.
But I would definitely do that like right away. Like if I wasn't married or I was like single,
right?
Like I would probably do that way more than I probably should.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like such spiritual value when you do that certain thing that you only get it when you actually do it.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, well, again, it's I've known a bunch of people who've made a ton of money, you know, like millions and millions of dollars, and they'll be like, dude, I really want to go get a job at Starbucks. I really want to go like work on a farm or something, just because they like when you're making $10,000 a day or something, it's like, how do you existentially justify that? Like you'll be just sitting on your couch making that kind of money.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you fucking do about that? You know, it's like, and then you see these people working really hard, and you might think of them as like, oh, they're losers or they're
right,
idiots, you know, which is like, it just makes you a worse person, you know. And having that external pressure to like make coffee for people or feed people or something is like, it's important, you know.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because not too long ago, I think it was like I had some freelance work and, you know, my regular job and stuff. And when I was in college, I used to work at a Panera Bread. Yeah. Like I freaking love Panera Bread. Like I just love it. And
Katie was telling me that actually.
What?
Katie was telling me how much you love Panera.
Oh, for real? Oh, gosh. I mean, I'm addicted to bread. Like bread is like my meal. Like I don't have cake for my birthday. Like I have bread.
Nice.
And
like buttered fresh bread.
Yeah, like like when I used to live back home, like they would give me like a loaf of bread for birthday. Like they wouldn't give me cake. Yeah. And bread has always been, you know, with coffee and stuff. That was like a cultural thing. Right. But I used to work at a Panera Bread for many years when I was in college. And like I had Panera Bread like literally like half a mile from me, so I walked there.
Whoa. Was that a consideration when you were choosing this apartment, you think?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, cool.
That was part of it. But not recently. I told my wife, I think, because I was very light in work during my after hours. Yeah. And I was like, I'm considering to get a job, like a part-time, nighttime job at Panera Bread, just because like I actually like the rush of like the whole food thing. And like I remember when I used to work there, like I loved it. Like I just loved the rush hour and like all that stuff. And I'm just gonna, I don't care if they pay me because I don't need the money. I just want to feel that whole thing, because I mean they're gonna pay me, you know, like I don't know, whatever. An hour. But it's like I just want to have that feeling of, you know, just
the meaning, right?
Yeah. And it's like I don't mind if I do it like for a week or 3 months or whatever, you know. But right. Well, I actually thought about it.
And I'm always like curious about like there's something you fucking get out of that it's like completely priceless.
Yeah.
It's like, and it always goes back to the meaning stuff. It's like there's a responsibility, like you're giving somebody their dinner that night or something, and the coworkers, like those people might need the money, you know. And if you're, you know, again, there's so many things that make it way more like that actually might feel way more meaningful than doing art sometimes. You know?
Yeah, it's actually funny because like they know me already, because I usually like every time I find a place that I like, I always order the same thing and every single time. Like I don't change. And like I go to a taco place and I go to the same place and I order the same thing. So when I call, they already know me by name. They already know everything. But in here, they already know me. And my wife went to pick up food. I think it was like 3 days ago. Because I ran out of food. And they started talking to her about me because they know my name. And my wife told them that I used to work at a Panera Bread, that I was considering to apply there and all that stuff. They were like, oh yeah, we're hiring and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, oh gosh.
Now you're committed. Now you're more likely to do it, right? Again, it's I think there's something about working with your hands too, physically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like, I think there's a separation. Like when you're working on a TV show, you're on your Cintiq, and then it's seen by millions of people, right? Or a card game or whatever, you know. And there's that like physical disconnect of like where if you work on something with your hands and you physically hand it to them, you're like, oh, this person's actually like, you know. I think there's like a thing that clicks in your brain. You know, primate stuff going on.
I think that's also the way we're going in this era with everything, you know, sort of being digital and all that. But like I recently got a VR headset and I've been like sculpting and stuff. And it's like if like I had that little bit of connection to what I was creating, because I was actually, you know, like I was building some for work. I was building some like real life-size stuff. Like I can say what it is, but I actually put it in scale right next to me in the VR wall. So I was actually awesome, like if I was there, you know, I was like sculpting it and stuff like that. So it sort of felt a little bit more real than if I was just in the computer. But
super cool. Well, and again, I think there's that tactile, like you actually physically see it.
Yeah, for sure.
going for about 1 hour so far. 1 hour
Cool.
exactly. Do you want to talk about anything else or?
Whatever you want.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. When it comes to art, it's like I was interning as a concept artist at a game studio for a little while and doing the whole digital art thing, trying to be
Interning?
Yeah. And it was just to see what it was like to be in the studio, see if I liked doing digital art every day.
Where was it?
It was a studio in Cambridge.
Oh yeah.
It's, the guys who did Jagex left Jagex to go make their own company, and it was a company called Playfusion.
Yeah. Do you like it?
I liked it. It was fun. I liked it. I liked my coworkers, and I see it as a path I could pursue at some point when I guess feel more comfortable existentially. But
yeah,
I found that it's like the kind of art that I like doing, at least right now. It's like I get a lot more joy out of doing traditional like physical art than I ever did out of digital art.
Right.
And
did you have like a background in traditional art?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I went to like an atelier and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Oh yeah, you went. Yeah. That makes sense.
Did tons of figure drawing, and
man, I wish I had that.
I mean, I really like your stuff, man. Like I
mean,
really
like,
admire it.
Like I see people like Katie and like I know so many artists that they do work digitally now, but they have this traditional background, like Carla Ortiz and all that.
Oh, she's awesome.
And it's like I can see that work, and like I know they have that traditional background without knowing that they do. I just can't tell with their artwork, and it's like they have that. I don't know. I still don't know what it is because I have no idea about any traditional stuff. But when I started with Photoshop. That was like my first things. But
I feel like whenever I try to do art digitally, I actually can't take advantage of the digital tools because I'm like so focused on the traditional, like doing it like using one layer and not using any of the layer styles or anything. And I feel like I really like Blender. I really like all that stuff, and I feel like every time I try to do it, I just get like caught up in thinking of it like an oil painting or something.
Right. Yeah.
Figure drawing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something I can get past or
Yeah.
Understand for myself. Like I have to figure that out artistically, if I want to work professionally in entertainment. But it's like I found that like the way I do it is way more important than the end result. It's like the process of
that's the key to trying to get past that whole using all those stuff, because to me it's the other way around. It doesn't matter the process for it. Like I need to get to that end goal just because I have that responsibility to turn into a client or finish my personal project or whatever. So it doesn't matter how I get there or the tools that I use. It's just I just need to get it done. So I think that's the main
that's the difference. And I think it's like something I just have to get over and start.
And you don't have to. You really don't have to.
Well, it might be. I mean, Carla obviously works. Again, it's something I just have to figure out what that means. To be an artist. And,
I think that's like one of those things where, like, nobody can tell you how to do it or like what to do just because it's like different with everybody. I
mean, art is. Again, art can be anything. It's strange. But I don't know. It's I find that it's funny that like a bunch of the traditional artists I know feel the same way about digital art, Photoshop, or it's like I can, I suck at that, like I know like plenty of painters that are brilliant oil painters, like some of the best oil painters alive, but they cannot draw from their heads at all. And it's like, oh man, I wish I could do illustrative storytelling.
Right.
But they could do these brilliant,
beautiful very technical, beautiful paintings.
I think it's just part of being a person is like realizing that there are people that are like way better at things that like you wish you were good at.
Right.
And, I found that like the art that I like looking at is actually different from the art I like doing.
Yes. That's completely normal. That's completely normal. Like that actually reminds me, like when I first started, one of my main goals was to work for Blizzard. Just because first I just love their games, but for the longest time I always struggled to like make a portfolio to show them, just because my own personal work just didn't fit their style,
Right.
And for the long, like it took me many years to realize that and just like make peace with it, where I don't need to work for Blizzard. Like it was more important for me it was more important for me to try to work for Blizzard than to actually get a job at Blizzard.
Right.
Just because it just drove me to, do all this crazy work and get all the clients and stuff like that. But I made peace with like the artwork that I was doing just didn't fit, Blizzard. Yeah. So, and that was okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a big part of it is like just acknowledging who you are and thinking what you're doing. And like, I mean, again, I have to be okay if art is only just a thing I do for fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I have to be completely okay with that.
Yeah.
And again, tie 0% of my identity to working at a specific company or doing specific kinds of art, and having a ton of followers or any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's like if that's the reason you're doing it, I think you're seriously. Like
yeah, especially if you're doing it just for like a hobby, like it shouldn't be tied to any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's it's the thing I've been telling people is like I'm around some of the best art teachers consistently, all around like Stan or all the guys associated with Broco or all the guys at the Watts or I'm around amazing artists all the time.
Yeah.
And I found that like. Even though I'm around the best information and around some of the best draftsmen, that's not always the thing that inspires me to draw. It's not
right.
You can't just like have all of the checkboxes, all of the best case scenarios filled out, and magically become somebody who's like a great artist.
Right.
Like you have to struggle.
Oh yeah.
I think that's just like
I mean, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Like, if you're gonna work with that path, there's no.
Yeah. No matter how much nepotism you have or whatever, it's like. You have to deliver and you have to do a good job. And
you can't wait for being motivated or anything like at the beginning it's fine if you're doing it for hobby and stuff like that. It's totally fine. But once you start working, like there's no luxury of wait for like inspiration or be motivated to work because that's your job now. And even though it's fun most of the time, you still gotta deliver and have responsibility with it.
Well, I was talking to Patrick and Katie about that, where it's like comedians, the job of a comedian is really hard because like anyone can be funny some of the time, but when you have to be funny and like the dog dies, it's like that's fucking hard. It's force yourself to be funny. Be funny on command. It's like that's extremely difficult. And it's the same thing with art. It's like you have to be creative on command. And you have to be you have to do the work again. And
it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah. It's.
I don't think people get how hard it is, and they expect less. Or especially when they're starting out, they don't expect to be that hard. Yeah.
Well, the thing I've been repeating over and over again is like the thing that people don't need is better art teachers. They need therapists. Way more. It's like I would do. I think most people like I could tell somebody exactly what they need to do to become better at drawing.
Yeah.
And whether they take that advice or not is like completely up to their mental health. It's like, do they go do the studies? Do they actually focus on it? Do they do the homework? Do they wake up early? Do they exercise? Do they like meditate? Like everything else that goes along with being an artist. It's not just about like doing, hand exercises. Or,
right.
Like learning perspective or learning anatomy that'll make you a good artist. It's like that's 10% of it. And the other 90%, again, it's just like, do you feel good about yourself?
Yeah. Have you seen the video from Chatty, the law of increasing awesomeness?
The what?
The law of increasing it's called the law of increasing awesomeness.
No, I've never seen it.
From Chatty.
Chatty Safari?
Yeah.
Chatty Safari.
Safari or I can never tell. I can never.
Safari.
Yeah. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He has his he has it on his Gumroad. And I saw it many years ago when I was trying to make it in the industry, and like I saw a video. It's like 45 minutes, and like the stuff that he said in there, it was like it just made it click in my mind, and it sort of like unlocked this thing, and it was like just really revealing on how to be better as an artist, and I like it because it's practical. It's not really inspirational like this metaphysical thing. It's just like really practical stuff, that anybody can do. And every time I talk to like a struggling artist or anything like that, it's just like watch that video. Like I'm like watch that video. Right. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, and it's the advice is always just like believe in yourself and just like keep going and just like have faith in yourself. It's like have patience. And,
Yeah.
Stuff that you like would find in like the Bible. It's
Yeah.
like, just
Yeah.
I admire David Goggins quite a bit.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. Gravy?
I like Gary Vee too.
Yeah.
Goggins, I like Goggins' level of craziness.
Yeah.
Like if he was here right now, he'd be like, "Let's go run 10 miles." Fuck you. It's like, don't be a bitch. And it's like I wouldn't want to live like him. I think he's too intense. I think but that like I'm going to take ultimate responsibility for every part of my life, and I'm going to. Every time I fail or I come up short, it's not anyone else's fault. It's always like I didn't run enough or I didn't do that thing enough, and it's like always just trying to be less of a bitch, all the time.
Yeah, and I listened to those guys for years, and one thing that I really like about them, especially for Gary Vee, that he mentions it a lot more, is the whole thing about self-awareness, and also like they're not really asking you to be like them. Like you need to do you. And be responsible 100% for doing that. Right. Like you don't need to be as crazy as they are. You know, you just need to do you.
Well, and I think you arrive there naturally just by like being like you start to find, like things in your life that's like, it's like worth it for me to work 100 hours because I love it. It's so much, it's meaningful to my life. I don't know. It's I think that's a really thing. That's the thing I admire about those guys a lot. Is they're like, I'm not like the point of my book is not. It's not about me. It's about you.
Right.
It's about you becoming a better person than you are now.
Right. Right.
Like compare yourself to who you were yesterday, and not somebody else today.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a playlist with some of their talks for like my gym sessions.
Nice. Yeah. And
especially Goggins.
Yeah. Stay hard.
Yeah. His story is crazy, man.
Yeah. I'm going through Can't Hurt Me right now.
Yeah.
It's a pretty intense book. But
yeah.
I'm getting something out of it. It's like all the stuff about his dad and how horrible that was.
Yeah.
It's like, again, I think he has every excuse in the book that anyone could have for not being for being lazy.
Right. Or to be successful.
Yeah. And in spite of that, he's obviously become like this. He's David Goggins, right? He's like, it's like you associate that with just a fucking hard man, It's like he's probably doing something really hard right now.
Yeah.
It's like he does like 3 hours of yoga a day or something too. I heard.
Yeah, I think I saw a video the other day that I was just laughing. I don't remember where I saw it, but I think he was like signing some books with his wife or something like that. And he was doing somebody was he was doing like a Q&A through like Facebook or something. Yeah. And one of the questions was, "Hey Goggins, did you work out today?" And he just started like laughing, but like what kind of question? Like, why are you asking me that? Like, that's such a stupid question with me, It's like, I probably will get like 4 times already.
Yeah.
But the way he laughed, he was like it was just like hilarious.
I mean, just like listening to him talk, like I saw Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He's like Goggins sent him a birthday text, and he's like, "Stay hard, motherfucker! I'm doing something hard. I know you're gonna go for a 10-mile run today. Don't be a fucking idiot."
Yeah.
And it's like there's something about all that stuff that's like makes me happy, And there's the absurdity of it. It's like, oh yeah, it's like you see him like running 100 miles the previous week and then injuring himself. It's like, I'm gonna do the sit-up challenge now, and then like. Obviously, he had the pull-up challenge for a long time.
Right. Did you see there's this Joe Rogan episode that he interviews? I forgot his name, but he's like, he interviews this guy that had Goggins live with him for a month.
The billionaire guy. Yeah.
That segment of that
hilarious.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
He would like wake him up in the middle of the night. It's like. Yeah, just like next to his wife, he would walk into his room and just like
he takes it to his meetings at work and everything.
Right. Just this intense like his stare and
that's so funny.
Yeah, I feel like I have a tiny piece of that inside myself. Like that, like fucking do it all the time. Just like do hard things and Yeah, I don't know. I suspect it's like I think it's amazing. I think it's like
I actually believe everybody has that.
Yeah.
The same way that everybody has a fighter inside of them,
Yeah.
like an actual fighter, like can fight.
Right.
It's just like I just think people suppress that because of whatever reason.
Well, they also have. I mean, Goggins was obviously. I mean, he was also like the drink a milkshake every day.
Yeah.
And do all that kind of stuff kind of person.
Yeah.
And he became somebody who wasn't that.
Right. Right.
Like I know for a fact I'm the kind of person. Like I struggle with the person that will like, cycle 100 miles in a day or do this van trip, and I also struggle with being the person that will just like sit around and play video games and watch cartoons all day.
Right.
I'm both people. It
Yeah.
just depends on my mood, and the person that I feed too. It's like the domino effect of like getting up 5 minutes later does contribute to me being the kind of person that I don't want to be.
Right.
And the goal for me is to be 51% the positive person.
Right.
If I'm 51%, I can at least say I was mostly,
Right.
and then just slowly increase that minimum every day.
Yeah, it's something we're working on. Like me and my wife got a trainer like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and like never before we've ever woken up at 5 a.m. to work out.
Yeah.
But we actually have to do that now because that's the only time we can work out together.
Right.
And so if we miss that window, we missed out. We just
You miss out on like
we can make it.
Well, like how many times can you work out with your wife in your life, in your entire life, and how many do you have left? Right. It's like
Oh yeah.
You can't do it every day. And if you live.
Well, we've been doing it every day, which is good.
I guess.
But it's not gonna be like I know we're gonna miss some days and stuff like that.
Yeah, with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's probably like maybe less than 3,000 times.
Right.
You're even able to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's thinking about it from that perspective, it's like, oh, of course, that's like the right decision.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, it's always about the struggle. It's like if you can find meaning in being in incredible pain that you've taken on yourself, you're gonna live an extremely happy life.
Yeah.
I think. I think it's like. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been physically comfortable before and extremely depressed. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Like you just can't eat cupcakes all the time. You can't like watch cartoons all the time.
I think we're meant to live that way.
Yeah.
I don't think we're supposed to be too comfortable where we're just letting life pass by without doing anything about it.
I think it's I always think about the Buddhist stuff with this kind. Like life is fundamentally suffering, and the more that you can accept that and embrace the suffering, the more fulfilled you'll be ultimately.
Yeah.
Like if you could be happy like running 10 miles and like love it, it's like that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
Yeah, but if you can be happy while you're doing it, it's like, oh, this is amazing. My laptop died, so this microphone has died. But the iPad is recording the audio.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
keep going. Sketchy van.
Yeah.
Podcast. I would like to, at some point when I start making more money, I'd like to invest into like actually get a bigger van, so we're not like hunched over. Get cameras like don't have to reset every couple hours or so. But I guess the reason I'm like, part of the reason I want to keep it sketchy is because it's like, and not as professional, is because it's like this is actually all I can manage right now.
Right.
It's like I can't afford a nicer van. I can't afford nicer cameras. Like I have to use all this stuff, and then I'm using it. Otherwise, it just wouldn't happen.
Right.
And it's better for me to do it this way than not at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like this, like people that start YouTubes or they want to be an artist, like they want to have all the prerequisites and like all the best stuff first before starting, and that's like the biggest mistake. Like they want to have the great lighting and the great camera and like the best location and all that stuff to make a video, but it's like it's really not about that. It's about just creating every single day.
Yeah.
And then as you progress, you just keep doing it better and better.
Yeah, it's better to do it badly than not at all.
Yeah.
It's better to have a bad plan.
Like you don't need a Cintiq to start doing art.
Yeah. And I mean, I know plenty of professional illustrators who use like a bamboo tablet.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually like the tablet better than the Cintiq.
Yeah, I found that it's really common. People are just so the muscle memory. And I don't know. I think it's like if I do take this seriously and I do this podcast well, I'm going to be able to afford nicer stuff in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to become more than what it is now.
Yeah.
And it starts with like actually just like making the sacrifice of like, you know, like living kind of humbly.
Yeah.
And it becomes more meaningful at that point.
It's your baby.
Yeah, my baby. I think I named the van Lamray.
Oh yeah.
It's King Arthur's horse.
Yeah.
And, I'm not entirely sold on the name. I think that's what it is. That's what I've been telling people, but yeah. Would you like to wrap up?
Whatever you need, man.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Just the audio again. It's not ideal on the iPad.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, how should people follow you online?
Oh, just Art of Jose Vega.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Nice. Cool. And I guess anything you want to talk about in terms of like...
No, thank you for having me, man. It's good to meet you. I've been talking for a while.
Yeah,
so it's good to finally meet.
Cool. Thanks, man. Cool. I'll cut it there. Thanks again.
Yeah, man.
Really appreciate it.